Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're jumping right into a genuinely fascinating space, one that literally challenges the rules of reality as we know it. I'm talking about our own subconscious minds. Have you ever actually stopped to think about how the boundaries of your world are built? Well, we're diving straight into Boundless Horizons, the Lucid Mind Expanded, and we're going to see how lucid dreaming isn't just some crazy nighttime adventure. It's actually a profound tool for unlocking your human potential.
But, to really appreciate where we're going here, we first have to look at where we start every single day. The source material puts it perfectly. We often live inside limits. We learn what is possible and what is not. That really hits the nail on the head, doesn't it? It captures that heavy, rigid feel of waking life perfectly. From the second that alarm clock rudely jolts us awake, to the mundane realities of sitting in traffic or paying taxes, we are operating inside a very strict set of parameters. We are constantly being taught what we can do, and perhaps more impactfully, what is absolutely impossible.
Okay, let's dive right into this first concept. Section 1, Limits of Waking Life, the rigid box of everyday reality.
So let's look a little closer at the actual architecture of this rigid box we call everyday life. When you really break it down, waking life is fundamentally built on a compounding foundation of constraints. First up, you've got rules. These govern our physical and social environments, right? Gravity keeps us literally grounded while society outlines acceptable behavior. Then, layered right on top of that, we have expectations. This constant pressure of what we should be doing or achieving. But the heaviest weights of all, those are entirely internal, fear and doubt. Together, these elements completely box in our sense of what we can achieve. They quietly tell us no on a daily basis, creating a constrained baseline reality that we all just kind of accept as normal.
Which brings us to Section 2, the flexible dream reality, where walls begin to dissolve.
So what actually happens when we enter a lucid dream? Well, we transition from that rigid waking world into a state of absolute boundless wonder. And this brilliantly illustrates that shift. Our ordinary expectations on the left are rigid and restricted, totally bound by those fears we were just talking about. But on the right, the second you become lucid, reality becomes completely flexible. It opens up, it becomes responsive to you. The environment isn't pushing against you anymore. It's reacting directly to your will.
Walk across oceans. Touch the stars. In the waking world, those are just nice poetic metaphors. But in the lucid dream state, they are literal, completely effortless actions. You can fly without a second thought. You can shift through entirely different worlds in an instant. Those heavy laws of physics that bosses around all day long, they simply do not apply here.
And in this space, your imagination is not just daydreaming while staring out a window. It is the absolute architect of your reality. You can create entirely impossible places using nothing but your mind. You are generating the landscape, the sky, the very ground you're standing on, instantly. It is a breathtaking level of absolute freedom.
Let's move to Section 3, Realizing Limits Are Mental, the shift from fantasy to psychology.
Now, I know it's super easy to look at all this and think, wow, what a fun fantasy. But as you experience this profound freedom in the dream state, something much deeper is actually happening. You start to realize just how many of the limits in your waking life exist purely inside your head. And that brings us to this definition of possibility, the opportunity to experience yourself differently and to imagine beyond fear. It's not just about what you can do, like flying or walking on water. It's about who you can be when all those heavy constraints of daily life are just temporarily switched off.
Inside the dream, because all those ordinary expectations are just gone, your whole perception of yourself transforms. You literally become lighter, totally free from the physical and mental baggage of the day. You become braver, simply because the consequences of failure and fear are gone. You become immensely more creative, and so much more open to new experiences. You are essentially test driving a version of yourself that operates at your absolute maximum potential.
All right, Section 4, Bringing Freedom Back, the bridge to waking life.
So, the big question is, does all this magic just vanish the second your alarm goes off? Interestingly, no. Sometimes that expansive feeling sticks with you long after you open your eyes. Why is that? Because the subconscious mind remembers what freedom felt like. Your brain has neurologically and emotionally recorded the actual experience of existing without limitation. You carry that visceral memory of bravery and openness right back into your mundane waking hours.
Which takes us to Section 5, the mind's ultimate gift, expanding your capacity for possibility.
So, how do we actually build this into an actionable philosophy we can use?
Well, the next time you find yourself awake inside a dream, don't just immediately try to control every little detail or do standard magic tricks. Try this fluid process instead. First, actively allow yourself to just experience the raw nature of possibility. Then, literally or figuratively, open a door and step intentionally into the unknown. Go explore worlds that could never exist in ordinary reality. And finally, pay really close attention. Notice exactly how it feels to exist without limitation, and just absorb that feeling.
Because, as this quote beautifully puts it, the greatest gift of lucid dreaming is not escaping reality, but expanding your understanding of what the mind is capable of imagining. Lucid dreaming is not some escape hatch to run away from your waking life. Actually, it's more like an expansion pack for your waking mind. When possibility expands inside the dream, something inside you often begins expanding too. When you prove to yourself what your mind is capable of generating in that dream space, a deep part of your waking self starts to grow. You begin to realize that you are far more capable, vastly more creative, and infinitely more boundless than your everyday routine might have you believe.
Which leaves us with a really profound question to reflect on. If a dream can prove that your mind can create universes entirely without rules, what if the greatest limits in your life exist only inside your mind? Think back to the rules, the expectations, the fear, and the doubt we started with today. How many of them are actually real, and how many are just illusions, waiting for you to become lucid enough to dissolve them? Thank you so much for joining me on this explainer. Keep exploring, keep expanding, and I will see you next time.